Today we're talking amazing Call of Duty sales numbers, Nintendo Switch hits a new milestone, and Witcher 4 devs tease us with a small update. Plus, Borderlands 4 narrative director speaks out. What's he saying? Stick around to find out. Welcome, friends, to this week's episode of Good Playing With You, the weekly gaming podcast. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my debonair duo of Matts, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Molding.
Hey now.
We've got some big headlines to hop into this week, but first, let's talk about a game that everyone's playing on Game Pass right now, Indiana Jones. Molding, I know you had some strong thoughts on this.
I have very strong thoughts about this game. So I'm going to preface this with when the game first came out we had the trailer for it. I was not impressed with it. I did not think it was going to be a good game. It did not look fun for me, and I made that very well known here on the podcast.
Lord didn't even think we were going to play as Indiana Jones for the majority of it.
That's true. Yes.
I
didn't know what was happening.
Yeah.
So the game came out and got really stellar reviews. A lot
86
of
on
critics,
Metacritic.
86 on Metacritic. A lot of critics loved it. A lot of people on Twitter were saying, "Hey, this is why you don't do the Game Awards in the beginning of December, because there are still games that can come out that should win. Like, people think this is a Game of the Year game."
I'm hearing the word masterpiece thrown around willy-nilly.
Yes, absolutely. So my hopes I totally switched myself around and was like, okay, I'm going to give this game a good chance. My expectations are much higher. I think it's going to be a great game. All right. So last week I started playing it, and I will tell you that I think everyone is effing nuts. I think this game is one of the worst games I've ever played. One of the least fun games I've ever played. And I think nostalgia has just knocked these people over the head, and they just are so excited, so chomping at the bit to have a good Indiana Jones game that they made this into something that it is not. So they say that it is a mix of Hitman and Dishonored. And I will say, sure, if you take all of the fun out of both of those games and make a new game with it, then absolutely it is like those two games. So I think the Hitman comparison comes from you can find items in the world. There are different items that you can knock people over the head with, and you can change your outfit. Now, I only got so far into the game, and there might be other comparisons that people can make, because I frankly only made it about 5 or 6 hours into this game. And I don't know. Have either of you played Hitman, and does that sound familiar? Like, was there anything further along in this game that you think might be a comparison?
Wait, the costumes that you can rock and you kind of disguise, that's it?
And there's like other items in the world that you can like knock people over the head with.
Yeah, Lord, what are your thoughts? Because I'm 20 hours in, maybe 25. I have strong thoughts too.
Whoa, you're 25, Dan? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm like 5 hours or 4 hours in, and let's see. Let me explain exactly where I am. I got through the underground because I've been doing like some completionist stuff. Like, I was exploring the Vatican a lot and taking pictures of everything, and I did that underground necropolis or whatever. Necropolis?
Yeah. So,
and
or the necropolis, as Matt calls it.
Yeah, okay, my initial thought was,
like it or not. Yeah,
like when I saw that reveal trailer, I was like, this thing looks so janky. The fighting doesn't look good. The graphics are just ass. But once I got it in front of me, my entire opinion changed. I was like, the graphics look great. The movement feels very fluid. I was actually like, right now where I am, I'm happy with it. Like, I do not hate
time. You like it.
I like it. Yeah, I like it. I mean, I hear once you get to the next section, something changes a little bit. When you're like outside of the Vatican, like, I guess you go to your next location, and like, I don't know if there's like a tone shift or something. So I'm very curious. I want to see that.
So
But
Vatican is where I made it to. I made it into the Vatican and wandering
That's
around
the
doing things in
beginning of the
Vatican.
game. Like
Yeah.
my thoughts are, you know what? I'm on the fence on this one, to be honest with you. I
Do
don't like
tell.
stealth games, and no one told me this was a stealth game. The way they marketed this looked like Uncharted to me. So everyone's talking about how great it is. It looks like an action game. How can an Indiana Jones game not be an action game? And I start playing this, and I'm like, wait a minute, I got the old fucking bait and switch. This is a stealth game. What the hell? So I was
Stealth game
not ready.
if characters can look right at you and not see you. Like, yeah, sure, it's a stealth game.
Well, you have to have the right outfit on. So I would say I probably hated my first 3 hours. And then it started, like, I started really getting more into it as I was doing more of the mysteries, more of the puzzles. Don't spend too much time in the beginning, because there are some things that in the game that the world changes over time. So certain items I was frustrated I couldn't find. I felt in the Vatican, I was constantly chasing my tail looking for, medicine bottles and crap like that. And then later on they'd be like, oh, well, we built scaffolding and now you can get up on top of this. And I'm like, oh gosh, I wish I just fast forwarded the story and I'm in the second area now. I'll probably still go back. Do I love it? I don't love, it is overhyped. It's not as bad as Malding says, but
You're incorrect.
It
It is just as bad as I say.
I mean,
I'm just glad I did pay for it. It's a good Game Pass game.
And Mauling, you have to admit, it's way better than what we were initially thinking it was going to be when it came. What?
No, it's not.
That
Let me tell you where this game lost me. To open a locked door, you have to press 3 different buttons. You have to press the button to pull the key out. You have to press the button to put the key in the door, and then you have to press another button to turn the key to unlock it. That is ridiculous. It slows down the game so much. And when you want to climb up a wall, you throw your whip up, and it takes forever to climb up a wall. There is no sense of urgency in this game. It is not fun.
Okay. Let me ask,
That's
what are those like button sequences? Because on the PC, it's pretty simple. It's like it prompts you to hit like tab, and then it's like a click, and then you just hit like right on the like a D or something.
It's like,
is it like
X, that? It's like X, another button, and then you have to move your thumbstick a certain way.
It's the D-pad.
Okay.
It's like a quick time event every time you unlock a door.
It's not that bad. You get used to it. It is weird, but yeah, you get used to it.
No, I mean,
you shouldn't get used to slop. You shouldn't get used to busy work.
That's a hashtag right there. You shouldn't get used to slop.
No.
And I mean, it's much better than what I was thinking. Let's put it that way. I'm very curious to see where the next step, what happens, and if there's some sort of change, but I'm happy. I'll definitely keep going on. Is it, do you see a tone shift, Dan? What is this? You're 20 hours
I'm in the second area. It's exactly the same. I think the only problem is get out of the Vatican as fast as you can, and then you'll understand like really how the game works, and things will unlock, and you are able to go backtrack and that sort of stuff. And I think the first 3 hours are painful. Just walking through the forest in the beginning was so cliche. Although Troy Baker does an amazing job, and the voice and the music is spectacular.
Give Troy Baker indistinguishable from Harrison Ford.
Great.
And the
like they nailed it.
The mocap is like, I think, some of the best. Like the Harrison Ford looks
an Uncharted game though. I just wanted an Uncharted game, and apparently that was too much to ask.
And just as an aside, because I was kind of inspired, I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that beginning part where you're walking through the jungle is like scene for scene from the movie.
I know. I wish they had done their own thing though, because it wasn't as good in my memory as the movie. And I was like, okay, this game better step it up, because it's getting a little cliche. And then it does. It becomes its own beast once you get to the Vatican.
Yeah.
A terrible beast that needs to be slayed.
Are you going to
anyway? I hope people do get some enjoyment out of this game. I don't want to shit on everyone's party, but my God, it's bad.
Are you going to spend any more time? Or are you done with it?
I deleted it from my console. It is gone.
All right. Okay. Well, on that note, let's hop right into the headlines, and hopefully we got some happier news on the way. First up, Call of Duty is already setting records. This is an article that comes from Windows Central from Samuel Tolbert. And he writes, the newest Call of Duty entry continues its strong hold per the latest Circana sales charts. Activision's latest blockbuster first-person shooter is continuing to stay on the top of the charts, and that's per Circana executive director and analyst Matt Piscatella, who shared a thread on Wednesday via Blue Sky on the best-selling games and hardware of November 2024. In the US, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 was the best-selling game of the month, continuing its strong debut from October. The title has overtaken PlayStation's Helldivers 2 to become the second best-selling game of the year, only behind EA's College Football 25, which itself is now the best-selling US sports title of all time.
Oh, wow.
Alongside these strong sales, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is continuing to boost Xbox Game Pass, with subscription spending up 8% year over year. So it's interesting to see, not only is Call of Duty a juggernaut in the sales department, its sales aren't being hurt at all by its being available day one on Game Pass. So what did you guys think about these numbers, and are you surprised?
So do you think it could not be hurt by its sales on Xbox because people are buying it on PlayStation, and there's just the user base on PlayStation is just so far beyond Xbox that's why the sales are still good, is because Game Pass is negligible towards sales? Do you think that could be
I think
it?
that could really be it.
I mean, there's got to be something there to this game, because let's put it this way: it got molding into it, and
Absolutely.
that
Well, it's a
alone, it's a great game.
And I haven't even played the story yet. That's just all multiplayer that I've
all
played.
multiplayer. It's a massively humongous game. I mean, you shoot, it's probably 150 gigs of a game, but I think it is interesting that this one in particular just is. I have no, like, there has to be a reason, and it must be a good game, because I feel like the previous Call of Duties haven't even gotten close to this number. So there really must be something. Let me ask you this, Dan. I know this might not be like quite in the article, but like, does that number include just Game Pass downloads as well, or is that just strictly like just purchases, like between digital and physical?
It's just purchases between digital and physical, and it does not count how many players are coming from Xbox, but they just did notice that there was that 8% increase on subscriptions. So it's a significant number when Game Pass already has a huge amount of subscribers, and this just adds to it.
Then the number of people playing that game must be just like outrageous right now. It's crazy. It's a stunning number.
Yeah, it is. And they also showed that the hardware numbers for the year, PlayStation was up significantly, I think by like 15%. And Xbox itself, hardware numbers were down significantly, I think by like 7 or 9%, single digits. But it's going to show that Xbox's focus on the Game Pass everywhere is seriously hurting their console business, to the point where, here we are mid-gen, and you got to wonder if they're going to continue to embrace this message that you don't need an Xbox. If they continue to tell people that, well, I don't think people are going to buy an Xbox, and it makes me wonder if there's going to be a next generation. I know they keep putting PR blasts out about their handheld, and talking about, how powerful the next generation is going to, the largest leap there's ever been between generations. Sarah Bond said, and all sorts of,
God,
and
they
I'm
say
like,
that every time.
yeah, but I'm like, you know what? They're killing their base. So it's interesting to see where it's going to go. And the sales numbers are proving that, even though they're not hurting in Game Pass, they are hurting on the console, especially when they own the number 2 selling game of the year and they can't sell their own console. That's a problem.
It's a very valid point, because why would they be investing in so much advertising for this Xbox everywhere type of messaging? Like, that just means you're so right, and maybe that's just a carrot on a stick type of thing to like try to still get some console sales, saying, hey, don't worry, there's huge next gen boost next time. But like, in reality, we're getting dosed with Xbox everywhere. It's gonna be on your phone. They're saying, it could come to PlayStation. So crazy that maybe that's just seeing the end, which is too bad.
We've got
Agreed.
one more console. It's just going to have one more generation left. We might get that mobile device, that portable, but that's it. That's all that Xbox will have left. Is my prediction.
If COD hopefully can save them.
Or Satya Nadella
And I'm an
will
Xbox
realize.
fanboy.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, but I think Satya Nadella is trying to think like, okay, people who don't own consoles are a bigger opportunity for revenue than people who do own consoles, so let's advertise to them. It's not the right strategy because you're hurting your core audience and you're eventually going to hurt yourself in the pocketbook. He will realize that at some point, and they will right the ship, I think. And I don't think the next generation will be the last generation, but that's just
interesting. Yeah, I think he said this week specifically he said we're redefining what an Xbox player is, and I think
that sounds just like Don Matrick when he tried to sell me the cable playing Xbox One. So history's repeating itself, unfortunately, for the console that's in third place, and that is a bummer.
Yeah, he was implying that everyone should be Indiana Jones fans. Malden, get on board.
Yeah. Real quickly, though, I want to let you guys know the top 20 or so games so far of the best-selling games of the year, since we're starting to talk about wrap-up stuff, and we've got our awards for next year, or for this year, coming out next episode, so look forward to that. We actually wait till the end of the year and play all the games before we nominate and award any awards here.
Definitely.
But
play all the games.
Exactly, even if we don't like them. The sales charts have been interesting, though. So, of course, a ton of sports titles. Up top, of course, EA Sports College Football 25. Number 2 now, Call of Duty Black Ops. Number 3, Helldivers 2. Number 4, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Not even on my radar. Number 5, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. 6, Madden NFL 25, 7, EA Sports 25, 8, EA Sports MVP Bundle, 9, Elden Ring, 10, Dragon's Dogma 2. And then it goes on with some older ones. I just wanted to highlight Hogwarts Legacy at 13, Grand Theft Auto 5 coming in at 14, 15 is Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Minecraft at number 18, and Marvel's Spider-Man 2 at number 20. Any surprises on there for you guys?
It's so I mean, Grand Theft Auto 5 is that 10 years old now?
Oh, I think it's 12.
12 years old, and it is still on that top 20 list. That is, even though that game is so incredible, that does surprise me that it's still up there.
I mean, Dragon Ball is way higher than I was expecting. I know I used to have some friends who used to play it. So when I've heard that this one is sort of like a return to form, I'm just surprised that it's slaying out so hard. Like, I can't believe that's in top 10, like, or even top 5. Like, that's crazy. Like, we're going to be seeing some more Dragon Ball fighting games in our future here shortly.
And I do have to say, I don't play sports games, so I cannot tell you what any of those sports games are like or if they're fun, but people seem to love them, and they have a gameplay loop that I know is extremely addictive. So yeah, I can't judge those.
Well, one more interesting fact before we wrap this story up, though, is the Nintendo Switch now has beaten the PS2 to become the second most sold console on the market. Only number 1, I think, is the DS, and now the Switch, and the second place. Any surprises there?
I mean,
cheap. It's cheap. That has something to do with it. It's it's the less expensive console out of everything. So when you have, people on a budget, especially around now, you know, when you have the choice between a $500 console, a mom is going to go into GameStop and she's like, well, here's this $500 console and here's this, $200 one. I mean, that really helps them out.
But if that was true, then the Series S would be flying off the shelves at $250.
True.
True. Yeah, but it's Xbox. Nintendo has more of a name cachet to it than the Xbox does, I think.
For sure, but it makes me curious what's going to happen with Switch 2. With all of the leaks we've seen, it looks like the exact same thing. And so I'm like, unless you have a really good gimmick, Nintendo, something up your sleeve we're not seeing in all of these leaked designs, you're going to have a Wii U situation on your hands.
Yeah, that was going to be my reaction. It's behind the DS, and the DS had the touchscreen gimmick. The Switch had Joy-Con movement, portability, docking, and so it's no surprise. I think you get a gimmick that people actually want, and that is where, because I mean, you think about it, the PS2 was so powerful at the time and was just the go-to system. So for it to beat that, it needs to be something special and have something very unique about it. And I think the Switch does.
Well, hopefully Switch 2 will as well. But speaking of sequels that definitely need some sort of twist or some sort of fresh take, Borderlands 4. Lord, you had a story about this game for us.
Yeah, sure do. This comes from IGN's Wesley Yinpool. And basically what's going on is Borderlands 4 seemingly will cut back on toilet humor. And this is just crazy. So, like I said, this is coming from IGN. Borderlands 4's narrative director has hinted at a cutback on the toilet humor that the series is famous for. Just listen to this back and forth on X. So one commenter said, "So far, every trailer has dropped a more serious, dark vibe. Are we up for dark humor instead of fart jokes this time around? Please say yes." And Winkler, who's the narrative director, replies with, not at liberty to talk much about the content of BL4, but I remain firm in my criticism of BL3's overabundance of toilet humor." And for me, I feel like this is just kind of the kiss of death for this thing. First, they have the reveal trailer that is just, we spoke about it last episode, totally weak. And I just feel like it didn't capture the essence of the game at all. And now he's saying he believes that the previous series had too much of what the series is beloved for. And now it's making me a little nervous that it's kind of losing the grasp of why people love Borderlands 4. That was my takeaway. What do you guys think? Am I being overreactionary?
No, I think the thing that holds or that held Borderlands 3 back for me is that it was just the exact same game as the last two. In my opinion, it felt exactly the same, that they didn't innovate anything. They didn't grow at all, and that's the way I felt about that. I mean, that toilet humor is yeah, it's immature. That's the Borderlands brand. So I would just be curious what they're changing it into. But that is a lesser problem to me than the same old gameplay.
Yeah,
I agree. I think Borderlands 3 for me was such a miss because the game was so bloated, had so many open areas that you had to drive around. You couldn't walk anywhere. Everything was huge. There were some glitches in the beginning and you kind of have to explore, and I could never get the achievements for exploring because I had been there, even though the game I thought I hadn't. So that's a personal gripe. But and then it was just, the story was also bloated and huge. So the fart jokes not being there, I can deal with as long as the writing is solid. Even the DLC, which I started to play just a couple of months ago, and I'm majority of the way through, I can say it's some of the worst writing I've experienced in Borderlands yet. So there does seem to be a little creative bankruptcy when it comes to what the stories that they're telling, and I'd love to see a change. I don't know if the humor needs to be changed, but I definitely think that the actual fetch quests need to seem a little less fetchy when I have to go get, this bird egg over here and come back and then go get another bird egg and stuff like that. It's pointless bullshit like that makes me want to flip out and not play the game. So I think it has more fundamental problems than tone. But it does make me concerned. So we'll see.
Yeah. I guess I'm more thinking like, man, we have so many serious games right now. Like every game's serious. Like,
Yeah.
we don't have very
I
silly games, or like we don't have games that don't take itself too seriously. So it's like when I hear
At
that
least
it's
not the main big
Right.
AAA games. Like, I think a
Exactly.
lot of the indie games are fill that silliness.
Yes. And it's, so when I hear that it's just going to take the same old, like potentially, like, you can take it with a grain of salt. He didn't say that much, but if it's going to go the, dark route, it's just like been there, done that. Like and so hopefully they don't lose like a certain tone. I like how you said, the tone of the game, I think should still be like silly, over the top, and, not like super, The Last of Us, Like,
Yeah.
I hope not.
For me, it's just fetch quests and bad writing. Fix those and I'm happy.
Kill 7 mole men.
Yeah.
And then come back.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly. But one game I know that for sure that I'm looking forward to, and it does look serious, but I don't care because that's awesome, is The Witcher. And I know, Malding, you had a story about any tidbit we can talk about The Witcher, I'm down to do. Malding,
Same.
you had a story
Yeah,
for us.
absolutely. So Witcher 4
And I have a story to add to your story about it too.
Oh, good. So Witcher 4, of course, is in the news with the trailer that came out at the Game Awards. But Ethan Gatch from Kotaku had this story that caught my eye, is that The Witcher 3's incredible card game will now be playable in real life. A year after the standalone digital version was shut down, the awesome mini game Gwent is getting a physical tabletop release. Canadian board game maker No Loading Games, in partnership with Hachette Board Games, will release a physical version of Gwent in Q3 2025 for $40 a piece. Each set will include 400 cards and a playmat with rule variants for more casual play and tournament settings. The tabletop companies say the physical edition has the full support of CD Projekt Red. The distinct Witcher flavor of the card art and presentation, combined with the unique gameplay mechanics, made CD Projekt Red's standalone digital spin-off of the mini-game beloved within a small but passionate fandom. While the project eventually spawned a single-player story-based game called Thronebreaker, the card game's stalled growth and the studio's other ambitious projects ultimately led for it to be abandoned, first on console and then on PC and mobile as well. What CDPR did do, however, is not let the game simply die, but instead keep the servers online and empower top players to continue tweaking the balance to support fans who remain there, even if there is no content or big update coming. So I actually really loved Gwent, and I loved the standalone game they put out. I was super bummed when that game was no longer available. I'm sure I can even guess that you guys loved Gwent too, because how could you not love Gwent? It was a super fun game. Would you ever play it as a board game?
I gotta
Hell no.
submit something.
Hell no. Hell
Yeah.
no.
I
Hell
hate
to the no.
in-game games.
What?
I fucking hate them.
Okay, wait, I love in-game games.
Oh,
What the hell?
no,
Wait,
you are not.
we're hell no for different. What the hell? What do you say, Tanning? That's crazy.
I know. I couldn't get into Gwent, and then I had another buddy who was damn obsessed with that damn dice game in Assassin's Creed, and I said,
Oh, I like
can't
them both.
play that. I can't play this shit. I always want to play the game. I'm playing a game. I don't want to play a game within a game.
I get a little bummed when there's not a game in. So in fact, you're
No.
not a AAA big adventure game in my mind if you don't have a game within a game. I'm
No.
like, come on.
I agree. I love it that it's. I want it to be there because who knows? Maybe I want to play a little.
You want to be able to ignore it? Is
Yes,
that
I want to be able to ignore it. I know it's there, but I can't sit down and play that game. Like unfortunately for me, I won't be seeking out Gwent outside of Gwent.
Look, I'm not a fan of math, and the fact that like that horn can double this row and then the rain can take out this row. I have a hard time
it all up
remembering
for you.
No, in the game. That's why I loved it in the game. And A, it was
I
easy in the
see what you
game.
mean.
B, it did the math for me. But in real life, there's no way I'm going to buy that nerdy game. Anyway, but the one tidbit I wanted to add and what I was so pumped about is that just 2 days ago, the developers of Witcher 4 teased that Gwent would also be making its return to their game. And so I'm pumped for that. And that version of Gwent is the one I will dork out on because they're going to have to do something different to it and add to it and make it a little bit more robust. So that's the version of Gwent that I'm licking my chops for.
Nice. Yeah, no, I mean, I think
play this game.
Yeah, now
Or you buy it.
I'm going to
drink a beer
force
if you do
friend
math.
of mine to buy it and have him do the math for me.
Yes. I mean, I want to come over and this is the thing. I'll come over and watch some people play it, but I'll never play it.
Ugh, that sounds boring.
I love watching
worst.
that. I'm a voyeur. You're just come over and just watch.
Watching participation.
I will add as far as in-game games go, one of the best is Final Fantasy's Triple Triad. So much fun to play. I don't know if since neither of you are real big Final Fantasy gamers, Triple Triad, so much fun. I won't explain it now, but check it out if you get a chance.
Okay.
I loved Liar's Dice. I think that one came from Red Dead Redemption, maybe 2. And I ended up with a friend and his parents short-tide, playing Liar's Dice like all night one Christmas.
Oh
So it
wow,
was
that's a
such a
good
good.
memory.
Oh, it was so much fun, and his dad's really good.
Oh really?
Yeah, kick my ass. But it was
Nice.
really, really fun trying to bluff, and so I love a good bluffing game like poker, and Liar's Dice is outstanding. So
Man,
definitely.
my
Fun.
poker face is so ass, but I love to try. Yeah, so in this case, like, I don't know, I'm just trying to, Dan, do you remember what that Assassin's Creed game is? Because it's like on the tip of my tongue.
Is it
And
the Valhalla one
it
where they're
Valhalla
playing with the
one, yes.
runes?
Yeah, I
The
loved that
runes.
one too. I played the hell out of that one.
That
That
was the
really
one,
good.
the Valhalla. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, all right.
Loved that one.
I'm not sure
And Sea
why
of
I'm hung up on that,
Stars,
but
you like Sea of Stars, and that one had a really nice mechanical one too.
I try to remember, I think, yeah, I think I played a little bit of that one. So there's wiggle room there.
It's one of the best.
I know.
I agree. All right, Molding, you also had another story, but this one's not as happy about a PlayStation 5 and a kid or something.
So this ends up being a feel-good story, but I originally picked it up because it tickled my Grinch, the Grinch inside me. Got a little tickle about it. But this is from Zach Zwiesen at Kotaku. NBA team, the Charlotte Hornets, screwed up and is having to apologize after recently giving a young fan a PlayStation 5 console during a Christmas-themed halftime skit, and then taking that console away after the cameras were turned off. On December 16th, during a basketball game between the Philadelphia 76ers and the Charlotte Hornets, young fans were brought onto the court to greet the cheerleaders and the team's mascot. While on court, a woman read their Christmas letters to Santa and handed out gifts. One kid who worked really hard to get good grades this year wanted a PlayStation 5 console, and that's what the kid got. But after halftime, staff took away the PS5 and replaced it with a jersey. Boston 25 News explained that cheerleaders and other people involved in the halftime event were repeatedly confused when staff took away the kid's PS5 gift. Apparently, the child's uncle knew ahead of time that the gift would be taken away and failed to share that info with his nephew. As you might expect, a team worth billions cheaping out and taking away a kid's Christmas gift after pretending to give it to him in front of cameras didn't go over well online. People rightfully called out the team and its staff for the horrible prank, and within 24 hours, the Hornets issued an apology. On Tuesday, the team said its on-court skit missed the mark and blamed it on bad decision-making and poor communication. Simply put, we turned the ball over and we apologize. We have reached out to the family and are committed to not only making it right, but to exceeding expectations, said the team in a statement shared by reporter Nick Carboni. We will be providing the fan with a PS5 that he should have taken home last night, along with a VIP experience to a future game. Our goal is and will remain to elevate the guest experience for every person that enters Spectrum Center and to show our fans how much we appreciate their relentless support. How do you make this mistake? How does that get through anybody involved in this sport?
Dude, I mean, the Charlotte Hornets need to put a PR person on their wish list, dude, because
Yes.
bad idea. Like, they should have known this was going to get you crucified. So, oof on my part.
For sure, but how misleading and fake is that to present someone on video? And it shows, like I saw it
Yep.
on Twitter, that I refuse to call it X, showed the kid getting the actual console.
All happy, just so happy about his new game console.
Exactly. Only to be turn off the cameras and be like, yoink, like
Yoink.
who does that?
Yeah, that's some crazy behavior. And like, if you're a kid, you do not you don't care about a jersey. You want the PS5. Like, the kid must have been
I
going
think there are
crazy.
probably some kids that would really love that
No,
jersey.
do you
some
remember getting
super
clothes
fans,
for Christmas?
sure.
That
Yeah,
was like
that-
sacrilegious. That was like
That's what I was kinda
morally offensive. If I opened a gift and it was clothes, I was like, oh, that person does not love me.
Does not love you.
No, they do not love me. That
man.
is not love. Clothes are like socks. Like, those aren't Christmas
No,
gifts.
I think there are some kids, like, you're at a Charlottes game, you really love the Charlottes, you're there, like, getting a jersey is probably fun, but not if that jersey is replacing PS5 that was just stolen from your little kid hands.
I know,
Yeah,
right? And
that's crazy.
that is crazy, but happy ending. He ended up getting one, and
He did.
so I love that
So
all is well that
happy
ends well.
Christmas and happy holidays and Merry Christmas to that little boy.
Gosh,
Uh,
yes.
Good stuff. Thank you for that story. All right,
Yeah, of
let's
course.
just hop right into the listener emails and topics of the week. All right, first up on YouTube from Shoretide, we actually got a question about some of the games that we have played and our memories of the games, and actually features, because I guess we were talking a lot about Switch and expecting it to have some sort of feature, and then just looking back at all of the previous consoles and games that did something special. Shoretide on YouTube wrote, what are some of the risky new features that games have added that you thought created a ton of value, both from the player and business perspectives? So I thought this was interesting. Molding, why don't you start?
Oh, absolutely. I have talked about this feature a few times on the pod before, and I'll talk about it again because I loved it so much, and that is the Connect. I think the Connect was a fantastic feature that just was not sold well to the public. It added tons of value to me in my games. I've mentioned Skyrim allowing you to Fus Roda people in real time. You could just say it, and the Connect would hear you say it. You could organize your items. Another game that just recently came into mind was the Alien game, and now I'm blanking on what that Alien game was called. It was Alien. It
Was
was
it
one of the first.
Isolation?
Isolation,
Alienized,
thank
yeah.
you. Yes, you could with the Kinect and its video capabilities, you could move your head, and it would allow you to look around corners. I thought all of this stuff was great, and I really miss the Kinect and its capabilities. And I think there probably could have been so much more. Like Nintendo, people love Nintendo's like innovative stuff. I think this was a very innovative thing that Xbox did, and just got no love for it. And I lament the
Yeah,
loss.
it was the Alexa of gaming.
It
It
was.
was, yeah.
Oh,
It
it's
was
too
good
bad.
stuff.
Rip Connect.
Yeah.
What's your first pick, Lord?
My first pick, honestly, this one I feel like it took me a second to kind of like really think about what feature I just use so often anymore, and that is the sleep feature on the Switch and the Steam Deck. Putting these games into standby and not having to save
Ooh, yeah. I love
is
Ooh,
that.
that is a good one.
like such a game changer, and especially on the Steam Deck where you could just click it and walk away from like a AAA title like an Elden Ring. It is such a game changer. I just think that
Although,
is
why
yeah.
would you be playing that on Switch? I mean,
Well, on Steam Deck,
yeah, okay, so
yeah. But I know it's a little crazy. But like sometimes you got to, as a dad running around, you got to play your games where you can get them, and it really has enabled you to like game on the go. You don't have to worry about getting to a save point. You can just put it in sleep mode and you're a-okay. So
And I
really
would say, I would add to that and say, like, it's changed. Like, oh, if I only have a few minutes, I can't play that big AAA game because it's going to take so long to load up. So I might as well just play something small. I would feel that, like, and now that I can just like boot it up from and quick resume, I can play anything I want, and it encourages me to go back to games I wouldn't normally go to. So I love that feature for sure.
agree
I
100%.
also love it, but have you ever been stung by it working incorrectly? And that happens on Xbox sometimes, where some games don't properly do it for you, or they update before you get a chance to go back to it, and you don't know where you left off, or it didn't save where you
Okay,
should have been, and you
I
get
always
stung by
save.
it.
Yes, 100%. It's so glitchy. I know, but some games work on it and some games don't, and so I do it on a game by game
Absolutely.
basis. A, I always save before I ever use it. That is so 100% true. And then B, if that game has glitches when I come back, and then I'll shut it down and restart. Sometimes some of my games lately, to be honest, have been so glitchy, I've had to unplug the entire console and restart it.
Oof.
And then if it does that behavior, then I just never use quick resume ever again, and I have to force quit every single time. Also, on any game that's multiplayer, so like whether it's Texas Chainsaw or Fortnite or anything like that, I don't do the quick resume as well, because then it has to connect back to the server, and I'm like, well, if there are any bugs, I don't want to lose the match. So I'm such a nerd, I'm just like, I'll cold start all those all the time.
I'll mention that Dragon Age Veilguard, since I've been playing it, I'm at like 80 hours or something into it. I haven't turned it off once. It gets up and going immediately.
100% agree on
I
that
haven't
one.
had any problem with it for that game. I have
Yeah, I
other
agree.
problems with that game, but that's not one of them.
You know, I've never been able. Let me just, because I did some research, and let me know if this has changed. Quick resume is a feature you cannot shut off anywhere.
Right, not yet. I mean, people have asked, but
Yeah.
what you can do is when I exit out of Fortnite, for example, because I always do that, you just hit your select button and then you hit quit there, and it forces quick resume to like go
Stop.
away.
Okay.
Yeah. So on certain titles, I force
All right.
quick resume to
Good
go
to know.
away, and on others, when they've proven themselves worthy, then I
Right.
allow it to happen.
All right. Good to know. Good to know.
That's a
But it
great
is a
one,
good
though,
feature.
Lord. That's one that I totally didn't think about and is absolutely correct.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Okay, so my first pick is I kind of looked at what Shortide was asking when it says created value from both the player and business perspective. And the first thing that came to mind from my perspective, and this might be a controversial one, but I truly believe, for better or worse, don't shoot me here, or do, it's fun. But the battle pass is actually a good thing. I genuinely enjoy the battle passes in certain games that don't, overdo it. Like Fortnite, I'm looking at you with your 4 battle passes and your new shoes and all your crazy cosmetics. But games that don't overdo it and are like, oh, chill, and I think we're at a good place where we've established in the gaming sphere, like, it's just cosmetics that change games and everything remains fair and you can't be pay to win, and that these things on like support developers on an ongoing basis, and you're getting certain rewards and you're able to unlock things and that sort of stuff. So from a fundamental perspective, battle passes, Fortnite really changed the industry when they introduced it, and it's allowed it these ongoing games that we really never had before to exist and thrive. Before, it was always like multiplayer games that would just download map packs, and sometimes your friends had them and sometimes they didn't, and sometimes you would just get packs of guns or you would get skins. But now we have honest to goodness ongoing games. Fortnite's been around for like 2017, and it's because of the invention of the battle pass that has allowed these live service games to grow and thrive. And when they're not exploited, I think they're awesome.
No, I agree. There's something to be said about a battle pass for sure. I mean, it gives you that little piece of dopamine hit every time you unlock a couple levels, which always feels great. So it is something to work towards, and I really do think it has been a piece to a multiplayer game that just it keeps you going. And for that, I gotta tip my hat to it.
My caveat is I only support it if you can earn enough coins in that battle pass to own the next one without paying for it. So that's the only Overwatch 2 won't do it. So I do not buy that battle pass unless I make the coins up on my own just by playing. I'll buy it. Dead by Daylight does, and I still have coins in Dead by Daylight ready to purchase the next battle pass when I'm back into it, because I know I'm going to get my money back. So those I definitely appreciate.
Really, really good distinction, and I definitely agree. But what's your second one, Malden?
Oh, my second one is, and I might be thinking of things incorrectly, and my history might be wrong on this, but is the Nintendo 64 controller the first one that had an analog stick on it for console? And or was there something that came before it?
It was the DualShock controller was the first one for the PlayStation 1, I want to say. It shipped without it, and then you had to actually go buy it because some games required it. I want to say that's right. Maybe it was PlayStation 2. No, it was one.
So then mine might be a 2-part. I think that Nintendo 64 controller looked nuts, but it ended up feeling so good. And there was something really innovative about that Nintendo 64 controller. But my original thought for it was the analog. And so if the analog portion of it
might have been the first one. Maybe I'm wrong on them.
Yeah, I don't know. So that analog, it's a two
Yeah.
part. It's the analog part of a controller and that Nintendo 64 controller just being really a game changer for me as a gamer. And that feeling of holding the control, it felt really good in your hands. There was just something about it that really worked, even though it looked nuts.
Yeah.
So
I agree with
that's
that for
what I'll say.
sure.
Agreed. Yeah, even though you look at it, I mean, back in the day, I remember looking at it for the first time and thinking, "This is what the future of controllers is going to be like." Like, look at this
Yeah.
future, and no, rip.
Yeah.
What about you, Lord? Did you have a second one?
Yeah, my second one, because I was just thinking about game features that I just strongly appreciate because I'm just such a Max Payne fan, and I'm sure floating the bullet time idea in that, idea brainstorm meeting, they're probably like, Max Payne is going to go very slow through the air, and the bullets are going to be whizzing by, and they're just like, what is this going on? And then it turns out that bullet time was like the best feature, and there's been so many cool iterations of that feature since. I think Max Payne had to have done that first because it was just so well done, and I love a bullet time mechanic. So
Did that game come out before The Matrix? So
Yeah,
did
the
they
first
take
one.
that?
Like,
They
yeah.
did.
I think so.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's crazy. They really. I thought that was just so great. So yeah, that was like the in-game feature that I was like, I love it so much.
Yeah, those are definitely fun. I think my second one is also something that I loved and I thought was really fun that didn't really catch on. But in the early days of smartphones, I don't know if you guys remember, but some big games were like, okay, we want to have players. The theory was you want players thinking about your game when they're not playing it and they're invested in this world at all times. So how can we provide value to the player when they're not in front of their console? And some genius was like, well, I know, we create a companion app. So in the early days of smartphones, we would have these games that would sometimes have companion maps, and the lazy developers would just make them to be maps or something like that, or unlocking lore, which was not that attractive. But Dying Light, one of the best games, was so brilliant that you had a companion app that you would log in with your same ID, and then you would run missions and assign people to missions, and you would do different things, and you would get actual tangible in rewards, weapons, and that sort of stuff. So the next time you turned on your game, they would have them at the quartermaster. When you would go for your mail, all of a sudden you would get all of these resources that you would be grinding. So like during the day, I'd be at work grinding away, getting all of these weapons. And then I would get all of that sort of stuff when I came back into the game. And so it was a really nice companion app. Fable also famously did it. They did pub games. So their companion app actually wasn't on the phone. It was actually on the console itself. And I believe it was free. Maybe it wasn't. But the idea here was that they wanted to build hype before Fable came out. And I think it was the second one. And they released pub games, and they were these small games, and you would play these little like gambling things, and they were fun, and it was cute, and it was a good game on its own. But the hook was any currency that you built up in that game, when you finally purchased Fable and turned it on, would automatically go into it as well. And so they were connected that way. Dead Space had an interesting one. And then I think the way Mass Effect's multiplayer worked, I thought was really clever, although I know controversial. But any sort of like companion app or extra game that worked together, the synergy, doggy, I'm a sucker for that, and I think they're great.
Why did why did that not take off? Because that is such a cool idea. Like, did they just not figure out how to monetize that correctly? Because I feel like every game should have a companion app that does that type of thing, so you get extra
less
time.
apps. We need less apps, not more apps.
I
but
agree,
this is more games. This is providing more games. You know, what
more
I mean?
games. So. Like, it's a great idea. I think there's still something there. I'm sure that'll change. I think we'll go. I think that was just before its time, maybe.
Maybe. All good stuff. Great question. Thank you, Shortide, for asking it.
Yeah,
a lot of fun, talking about this sort of stuff and thinking about all the great integrations and stuff that games have done over the years. But speaking of fun games, Molding is up next. You have a little like fun holiday game for us.
I have a little holiday game for us. It is our last show before the holidays, as you can see by Dan's hat and my festive colors and Lord's festive colors as well, and his little thing in the back for those who are listening to the podcast. Yes, it's our holiday show, and I have a little game for us. I want you guys to tell me which game came out first. See how good your memories are for the year. So I'm going to go from one to the other of you. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to give you two titles. You tell me which game came out first, and then we'll see if the other person agrees or disagrees with that answer. So Dan, here's my first question for you. Which of these games came out first? You were a big fan of both of them, Helldivers 2 or Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
Oh,
Which
nuts.
game came out first?
I know that they're really close to each other. If I had to guess, I would say Suicide Squad.
I agree.
Matt Lord agrees, and you are both correct. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came out on February 2nd, and Helldivers 2 came out just 6 days later on February 8th. Wow. Lord, here's one for you. Oh, actually, this should be one for Dan too, because I don't know you play either of these games. So, which game came out first, Matt Lord? The Outlast Trials or Dragon's Dogma 2?
A game that came out first. I'm gonna say Outlast Trial. No, Dragon's Dogma 2.
Dan, do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree.
You agree that Dragon's Dogma 2 came out first. You are incorrect. Dragon's Dogma 2 came out on March 22nd, but the Outlast Trials, Dan, your favorite game, came out on March 5th. So you are both incorrect. I'm sorry.
Wow.
Yes, it came out a couple
Dang.
weeks
Wait,
before.
Dan, you were a lagger playing Outlast Trials, because I feel like you were just talking about that. That was the only reason why.
No, I still play it. They're having a really fun, evil kind of Christmas event. And so it's because I would play it repeatedly, I couldn't remember. And I put so much time into Dragon's Dogma. So
unlike Dragon's Dogma 2, which I'll never play again.
Agreed. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. So Dan, this comes back to you. Which game came out first? Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, or Stellar Blade?
Stellar Blade.
Lord, do you agree or disagree? You played that game, I know.
Yes, and I know that Stellar Blade came out in April, so that's all the best I can do. I'm gonna say Stellar Blade came first as well.
Dan, so you agree with Dan?
I agree.
You guys are both correct. Stellar Blade came out first, and you, Matt Lord, get extra credit. It did come out in April. It came out on April 26th.
Wait, what are these cheating antics?
Yeah, that's right.
Do I get to call them up too?
No, you can. If you innovate like Matt Lord did, maybe you get some extra credit.
Yeah,
Senua's Saga came out on May 21st, so nearly a month later. Matt Lord, this one goes to you. Which game came out first? Paper Mario, The 1,000-Year Door, or Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree?
I'm gonna go Paper Mario.
Dan, do you agree?
Yeah.
You are both correct. Paper Mario, 1,000-Year Door came out May 23rd. Elden Ring came out on June 21st. Shadow of the Erdtree. Dan, here's one for you. This was perfect for you, so I expect you to get this one correct. Which game came out first? The Dungeons of Hinterberg or 7 Days to Die?
Ooh.
This is the reboot of 7 Days to Die, not the original.
Yeah, I know. That would have been nice and easy. The problem here is that I didn't pick up Dungeons of Hinterberg, although I played it and 1,000% of that and all that sort of stuff until later. I slept on it for a little while until I was bored. Because I was probably too busy playing 7 Days to Die.
And most likely.
I'm gonna say I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say Dungeons of Hinterberg actually came out first.
Matt,
I'm gonna say 7 Days to Die.
Dan is correct. Lord is incorrect. The Dungeons of Hinterberg came out first on July 18th, and 7 Days to Die came out very quickly afterwards on July 24th.
Dan baited me.
Yeah,
he did.
I'm a masturbator.
You're a master. I was like, I fell for that trap, the hook, line, and sinker. Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right, Matt Lord, put on your thinking cap. Which game came out first, Concord or Black Myth Wukong?
Concord.
Dan, do you agree?
No, I disagree.
Would you either of you like to guess the month these games came out?
No.
Yeah, I mean, it couldn't have been that long.
I know.
September for Concord?
Okay, but Dan is correct. Matt Lord is in. Wait, what did Lord say?
I said
can't
September.
remember.
I said Concord.
No, it did. Yes, Lord is incorrect. Dan is correct. Black Myth Wukong came out first on August 20th, but you can't fault either of you for knowing this. 3 days later, Concord came out.
I knew it.
Possibly one of the reasons Concord failed is because everyone was playing Black Myth Wukong and no one gave two shits about Concord. All right, we've
Dang.
got 2 questions left. Oh, and it came out in August. I think I mentioned that. This goes back to Dan. Which game came out first, Astrobot or Star Wars Outlaws?
Astrobot.
Lord, do you agree or disagree?
Star Wars Outlaws. Yeah. No, I disagree. Outlaws.
Lord wins this round. Star Wars Outlaws came out first on August 30th. A
I had
week
to give him
later.
one.
Yeah.
Dan had
a
to
week
throw me a
later,
bone there.
Yeah.
Astrobot came out on September 6th. So here's our last one. I'm going to give you 3 games. We'll start out with Matt Lord, and I want you to put them in order of which came out first.
Oh, God.
This is a good one. Stalker 2, Dragon Age the Veilguard, or Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Put them in order of which game came
Okay.
out first.
I'll go first. So I think it goes Black Ops, Veilguard, Stalker.
Dan, what do you think it is?
I think it's Veilguard, Black Ops, Stalker.
So we have a winner, definitive and unimpeachable. Matt Lord wins the entire game. That is absolutely correct. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 came out first on October 25th. Dragon Age the Veilguard came out next on October 31st. And Stalker 2 didn't come out until November 20th. Thank you for playing.
I demand a
Which
recount.
came out first.
Recount. Ivan Rob, that was fun though. Thank
that
you.
was really
Malden.
fun. Thanks, Malding.
You're
Always a
very-
pleasure
you're
playing
very
those
welcome.
games.
It was very easy to do. So.
Well, the real question is going to be, are any of those games going to end up on our video games awards at the end of the year in our next episode? You're going to have to tune in next week to find out. But that pretty much wraps up everything we have for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're listening on a podcast, please tell a friend. And on behalf of Matt Moulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, thanks for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you. And happy holidays.